Fantasy Football Marathon continues on ESPN. Be sure to sign up on ESPN.com/fantasyfootball. Over 1 million teams have been drafted. If I was picking number 1 overall, I would take Saquon Barkley. That's my tip for right now.
With you, Molly.
Raiders wide receiver Antonio Brown is expected back at camp today despite losing his helmet grievance with the league. AB is not expected to appeal the decision, according to our Adam Schefter. If only I could speak to Adam in person. It would be so helpful at this moment in time. There he is on his phone. No surprise, making things happen. Adam, how we doing?
Good morning, everybody.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Adam, I think you know where I'm starting. So Matthew Berry has Antonio Brown ranked 32nd overall on his current rankings, which I'm sure will be a point. Please expect from AB if we should be concerned about drafting him.
Well, listen, I think that when you get AB, you get somebody who's been a prolific receiver, and you get some of the storylines that accompany that. A short time ago, he just landed back in Oakland. He's going to be rejoining the team today. I'm told that the feet are not a major issue, that he can run. We've seen footage of him running this summer. The question is, can he cut effectively? And I think that will come in time. But when you see him running downfield like that and making catches like that, you know that the feet are not a major issue. The question is, he's not on an offense that is as prolific as the one that he was on in Pittsburgh. He's not surrounded by as much offensive talent as he was in Pittsburgh. He doesn't have the comfort factor that he did have in Pittsburgh. So there's some issues here in Oakland that he didn't have in previous seasons, but you're still looking at a great receiving talent that sometimes comes along with some extra drama.
Adam, that's exactly where I was going. I would like to know, what are you hearing about what people are saying in regards to Antonio Brown having Derek Carr throw him the football as opposed to Big Ben Roethlisberger throwing the football? I think sometimes we get caught up and we forget this ain't basketball. This is football. You're an individual like LeBron James. You can wreak havoc all on your own. But Antonio Brown can't do a damn thing if Derek Carr can't give him the football, whether it's because he can't throw the football well enough or because the offensive line ain't blocking for him well enough. How much are you hearing about that reality that Antonio Brown is going to face in Oakland?
And, Stephen, there's also a chemistry that they have to develop that they haven't had a whole lot of time to develop. Now, the True tried to forge that during the offseason, but you can't just go out and magically make that happen when you haven't played together for years. Despite the fact that Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown had their differences, they knew exactly what the other person was doing on the football field. And so that helped elevate the game of each player. In this particular case, they don't know each other all that well. They don't know their playing styles. They're trying to get familiar. And Antonio Brown left the Raiders camp on Friday, July 30th, and is getting back today. There's a couple more weeks that he missed, and it's another obstacle for him and Derek Carr to have to overcome. Derek Carr's numbers have not been what Ben Roethlisberger's numbers have been. The Raiders' offense has not been as productive as the Steelers' offense has been. So it becomes a more challenging situation for all involved, and it's up to everybody to elevate their level of play.
Adam, I know we just showed a fantasy football graphic and you report on reality football, but staying with fantasy for just another question at least here. If I'm in a league and Ezekiel Elliott's stock is falling, right? Where do I take him? Where does this hold out? Like, what kind of damage to his value as a fantasy player or risk associated do you think this has for him as a fantasy back?
Listen, Max, if you're talking from a fantasy standpoint about drafting Ezekiel Elliott, I think it's hard to draft him when he's not in camp yet. Last year, there were people that went ahead and drafted Le'Veon Bell. We saw how that worked out.
I was one of them, Adam.
Yeah, well, see there, how do you feel about drafting Ezekiel Elliott now, Molly?
It ruined my entire season because I kept thinking he's going to come back, I held on to him, and it was a disaster.
Where did you get him, though, right? That's what meant.
Le'Veon?
Yeah.
I took him, I don't remember what pick I had, but in the first round. That was my first pick.
Round pick. So is Zeke a first-round pick, Adam?
Well, listen, I think that you get to a certain spot in a draft where you say, this guy is worth the gamble no matter what. I'd rather have Zeke Elliott at number 9 than Joe Mixon or whatever the scenario is in your fantasy football draft. Now, there are people who believe this is no big deal, that these two sides will get this worked out. I would say that this is going to start getting serious here in the next 10 or so days, that I don't expect a lot before then, but once we get about 10 days, 2 weeks out of the regular season, I think that's a critical juncture for both sides. We saw last year with Aaron Donald, the week before the opener, him and the Rams get a deal done. No surprise it comes at that point in time. And if we get to, say, Labor Day and Zeke Elliott isn't signed yet, then that becomes a major concern for everybody, especially the people who want to draft Ezekiel Elliott on their fantasy teams. Forget about Jerry Jones and the Cowboys.
Let me stay with the fantasy. Not that I play it or anything like that, but let me stay with it.
Stephen A., you got to play. You got to play.
I don't have to.
No. You are missing out. I'm just telling you, it would be a life-changing experience for you.
A life-changing experience.
Yes.
That's what you're going to tell me about fantasy football. A life-changing experience. Good Lord.
Yes.
You know what, Adam? I might take you up on that. Matthew Berry has been after me for years, but I got turned off by it because Molly cheated a couple of years ago.
Stephen
That's
A,
a different
you
subject for
could be the
another
Jerry
day.
Jones of fantasy football.
That's a different subject another day.
No
Let me get to the
championships, but a lot of
quarterback
noise.
position. Let me get to the quarterback situation on a fantasy level. Patrick Mahomes obviously was the man last year. 50 touchdowns. Nobody saw it coming. He was absolutely sensational. We get all of that. When you talk to folks in the fantasy football world, because occasionally I run into them, what do they say? They say, nah, you don't take him this year. You take Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck threw for over 4,500 yards last year. Andrew Luck passed for 39 touchdowns, second in the league last year. But obviously there's been some injury concerns. When you look at the quarterback position in fantasy football, what route do you believe, or what are you hearing the route that people should go?
See, Stephen A., this is exactly why you should be playing fantasy football. So you could understand when I say that when it comes to quarterbacks in fantasy football, no matter how good Patrick Mahomes is, and there's nobody that's more talented right now, you wait on a quarterback because there are so many good quarterbacks. I think Jameis Winston this year is quarterback 19. If you're willing to wait and take a quarterback 19 in one of the last rounds of your draft, is the difference so great between Patrick Mahomes and Jameis Winston? I know last year Patrick Mahomes threw, I think, 15 more touchdown passes than any other quarterback, so he was so far superior to everybody else. But you take a look at the depth at the quarterback position. Is there anybody on that list right there of the top 10 quarterbacks that you would be unhappy taking? And that doesn't include guys like Jameis Winston and Kyler Murray and some of the other really good young quarterbacks who are out there right now. So that's why.
Well, I tell you right now, I wouldn't take Cam Newton. I don't like him at 6.
Well, see, Stephen A., if you had a fantasy football team, that would be your right as the owner of your team to do whatever the heck you wanted to do. You could bypass Cam Newton all day and then go take the quarterback you want. But Stephen A., come on, it's 2019. Get in the fantasy spectrum here, man.
I make the game. I don't just play him. I try to make him. Adam Schefter, you understand how this goes, fantasy football. But you're right. You're right. I'm a little late to the party on that.
And Stephen, I'll tell you this. If we can get you into fantasy football, then I will personally get you into fantasy basketball, which is my favorite.
Well, listen, if Molly didn't cheat, I might have been playing the last 3 years. She's a cheater.
Let me just tell a little story to Adam. Put me on camera. I need Adam on here, too. Adam, so here's what happened. We did a draft as a show. I've played fantasy since I was in college. I love it. And Stephen A. said, I want to take Aaron Rodgers. He had the first overall pick. He wanted to take Aaron Rodgers. I am competitive, and I wanted to win. So I wasn't going to school him and say, rookie mistake
She was supposed to be
one,
teaching me, Adam.
Wait on quarterbacks.
She taught you.
Wait on kickers, and wait on defense.
No, she schooled me, but she didn't teach me, man.
I let him
She
do
schooled me,
that.
she didn't teach me.
And then as a smart woman, I took a top-tier running back.
But
so
Adam, hold on.
He learned the hard way, Adam, and he's calling it cheating.
Adam, she's leaving out the part that she said, come in, please, like Matthew Berry and you. She came to me and she said, do it for me. Play. I will teach you. I will teach you.
She suckered you, Stephen A. She suckered you. She didn't cheat you. She suckered you, and you took the bait. Stephen A., here's the deal. Look, you get in a fantasy football league, call me up. I will go through the picks with you, pick by pick. We will assemble the finest fantasy football team that money could buy. It'll be done. We will take care of that. You get me on the phone, and we will get that done. Okay? Nobody's going to sucker my friend Stephen A. in the future. Don't be doing that to Stephen A. Molly. I understand.
Right,
one thing about fantasy
Adam
football,
Schefter.
once you go down that rabbit hole, boy, good luck coming back out.
This is good for my spirit. It's good for my spirit. My man Adam Schefter's got my back. Like this is touch. I trust you. I don't know about Molly. I don't know about Molly anymore, man.
Listen, Adam, I'm going to work on getting a little first take league going. So I'll let you know if that happens if you want to jump in another one. Thank you so much.